Hello, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. How are you doing? I pray that you are well. I pray that all is well. And it's always my prayer that you are doing better. And every time you come into one of these next episodes, it has left an impact on your life. You are able to share it. You will find the people that come on here, my guests, relatable, and that you're sharing it with someone that is in need. Because remember, sometimes a particular podcast might not be for you, but it might be for someone that you know, someone that is going through. And you can say, you know what, I'm going to share this in my groups. I'm going to share this with my friends because someone needs to hear this. Okay. The whole point of the podcast is someone needs to hear this. All right. Someone's going through. I might not know what they're going through right now, but if I share it, I pray that this is a lifeline, a ray of hope to someone that is in need. Again, this is your host, yours truly, Dr. Lin J, on Emerge and Empower. I pray that this month of May is bringing blessings, healing, forgiveness. All right. You're releasing the past. All right. And you are moving forward with your life. Let this month be indeed a month of life changing forgiveness, releasing the hurt. All right. Forgiving those who might have harmed you, hurt you, whether it was direct or indirect. It's time to move on. It's time to not hold grudges. It's time not to hold the hurt, because what the hurt does, it keeps creating pain, animosity, hate so much. And guess what? It also ages you. Yeah, it does. All right, it ages you. But once healing is in place, you let go and you truly glow indeed. All right? So, what you need to do, click the link, share it, like, all right, and subscribe to Dr. Lin J on YouTube. Now, you might be listening to this on one of the podcast platforms. Go ahead to Dr. Lin J on YouTube so that you will always see the video portion of this podcast. If you're on the audio platform, you're only hearing us. But if you go on YouTube or Facebook, LinkedIn, or Twitter, you will be able to see us visually as we are in studio. So I encourage you right now, share, 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 click, 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 and let's get into the show. There we go. Waiting for you. I'm waiting. Yeah. Share. Oh, this is so wonderful. Welcome to Emerge and Empower, the podcast where we delve into stories of resilience, triumph, and personal growth. I'm your host, Dr. Lin J, and I'm thrilled to be your guide on this journey of empowerment. Each episode, we bring you inspiring conversations with individuals who have faced challenges head on, emerged stronger, and are now making a positive impact in their communities. Whether it's overcoming adversity, pursuing passions, or navigating the twists and turns of life, our guests share the valuable insights and lessons. Hello, everyone. Hello. And once again, we are here on Emerge and Empower. Now, did you click? Did you share? Because you're in for another life changing podcast. Okay. And I will welcome my guest on today. Welcome, TD. How are you?
Thank you.
Welcome to Emerge and Empower.
Doing great. Thank you so much for having me on.
Yes, yes, yes. So let me do a little intro about TD so you can understand who she is, what she's accomplished, because she's here to tell a story, but was not how the story began. TD Flenaugh the host of the Falling for Learning podcast, has served as a teacher mama for elementary, middle, and high school for over 2 decades, with a distinction of National Board certification as a teacher consultant. Flenaugh has developed a curriculum for courses for Los Angeles Unified School District, San Bernardino City Unified School District, University of California, Los Angeles, University of Southern California, Loyola Marymount University, and California State University, which is Fulton. In addition, she has worked extensively with UCLA Writing Project and the National Writing Project. Flenaugh has worked to change education policy through fellowships with Educators of Excellence and Teach Plus. She enjoys yoga, writing, streaming, many different shows. Flenaugh lives in California with her family. Welcome, welcome, TD, once again to Emerging in Power. And I know that our viewers are in for a different story because every person or every guest that has come on has shared a different perspective of their
Mm.
story. This is the month of May, and we are talking about a mother's perspective, or in a sense, a big sister that has taken the role of the mom when the mom was no longer in the picture and took it upon herself to be the mama, the big sister to everyone. Growing
Mhm.
up, my siblings called me Big Mama, even though I was a little toothpick, but I was the oldest one and I had to take charge, right? I had to take
Yeah.
charge. I had to be the disciplinarian, the one that cared, to do everything. So I find your story very relatable, as many of our other guests will be doing today. So tell us a little bit about yourself as we start the show on today.
Yeah. So, yes, I'm an educator. I've been educating most of my life. I've been teaching, and I started with teaching my sister how to read. And I really felt the onus to do that
Mm-hmm.
when my mom left the family when I was in third grade. And my sister was the next school year going into kindergarten. And I really felt it was important that she learn how to read. So my mom was really good at, reading to us and getting us into education. But when she left, there was no one really there to do that. And so that is why I decided to take on that task of teaching her how to read. And I actually been teaching people to read since then. So it's something that I just continued doing from that
Right.
point
It
on.
became a passion.
Yeah.
And I applaud you. I applaud you for doing that, because even
Thank you.
moms, some of them can't even teach their children how to read, or has the time to sit there to be able to even help them with their homework, let alone to take on the daunting task of
Yes.
helping teaching your sibling how to read. And I'm sure she is a testament of your work, and that is one of the reasons why you have continued in the education. A lot of the times we find our purpose just by helping
Yes.
someone out. And, that's how we find our purpose. I realize, what our calling is in life. And you found out very early in
Hmm.
life, and you liked it, obviously, because you enjoyed it and you liked the effects and the change that it brought. And you continued that in the life of others. That is really great. And again, I applaud you. Come on, everybody. We got to clap, right? We got to clap. She
Well,
started from a
thank you.
little girl, and it's been her passion. You heard it in her bio. And I just love that about you. So, can you tell us a little bit about your upbringing and the challenges you faced growing up that brought us to this podcast on today?
Yeah. So I actually was born in Southern California, and my mother at the time was 21. She had already had my brother a couple of years earlier. And, she was a teenage mom, and my grandmother was a teenage mom, and so was my grandmother.
Wow.
Um, so we were born in Southern California. And then when I was about 4 years old, we actually moved to Alaska, Fairbanks, Alaska. And I think it was because my mom wanted to find a husband because her older sister had found a husband there.
Okay.
Um, it's notable that, in Alaska, there is a lot of more men than there are women. So
Hmm.
it is a place where women are in demand.
Okay, ladies.
So that's what I think was going on there.
Okay.
So she did find, she had a boyfriend there, and I'm actually the one who just like claimed him, like this is my dad.
Okay.
And they got married, and they did have my younger sister
Okay.
together, and so things were going okay for a while, but by the time I got into third grade, there was a lot of arguing
Hmm.
between them. My mom, I think, had gone into some type of depression. As a
Oh.
young kid, I didn't really know, but I know she just kind of locked herself in the room,
Mm-hmm.
drinking, smoking. If we knocked on the door, she yelled at us to get away. She didn't really want
Mm-hmm.
to be bothered with us.
Got it.
So, looking back, I could just see like it's obviously some type of depression or something happening.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But as a kid, you just want your mom to pay
Right.
attention to you, to give you some kind of affection, attention. But she just wasn't, there for
Mm-hmm.
us at that time. She actually, the arguing got worse and worse, and eventually she left. So my dad, who was actually my stepdad, who adopted us, by the way,
Mm-hmm.
he took care of us three kids, and my mom was gone. Um, so that's what was happening for a while. I was
Mm-hmm.
pretty numb to the situation, and I just threw myself into working, reading a lot. I did gardening. I, took care of my sister. So that's what I really focused on,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and kind of instead of dwelling on her not being there. But it was very hard because it's just like these empty places where she used to be cooking, she used to be
Mm-hmm.
cleaning, and I just tried to fill in some of those roles myself. So
So you said third grade, so that placed you at how old at that time?
So, I probably was 9,
Mm-hmm.
probably. Yeah. Hmm.
9, caring for your sister, and of course the other child, because now it's three of you, right?
Well, my older brother, my sister's the one between my mom and dad
Oh,
biologically.
okay.
So my brother is older. So I was
Okay,
the middle
okay, okay.
child. Hmm.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So the
Yeah.
middle child took on the role of the firstborn, basically, because you're the female and he was the male. That's usually what happens when you go, the birth place kind of changes depending on, the placement, but usually the female tends to take on, that mother, that nurturing, being the middle child now, you had to take on that role, caring. So you tell me you're gardening, you're doing all of these different things, and
Yeah.
you're taking care of your sibling at the same time. So you basically filled in where your mom used to make sure that there wasn't too much of a void of her presence not being there.
Yeah, yeah. My brother, shout out to him. He definitely was a leader in his own way.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't very domestic like I was,
Right,
but
right.
he definitely had to do some heavy lifting, and I'll explain
Mm-hmm.
that later because while my mother was gone, things
Mm-hmm.
really began to fall apart. Right.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, we're in Alaska, remember,
Right.
and we were living in a mobile home and we didn't have a foundation. So there was no
Mm-hmm.
insulation. The
Mm-hmm.
water pipes froze. So
Wow.
we were without running water. We just used the toilet, even though it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't flushing. And when it
Right.
filled up, we just used the restroom in the restroom plastic bin, trash bin.
Okay, okay.
Yes, and so this is where my brother, he actually unfortunately had to carry that across and then like dump that into the snow and some
Wow.
land out. Yeah, so
Wow.
that was big brother stuff. I didn't have to do
Right,
that.
right. He did the
That
heavy
was
lifting.
yeah. So it was pretty bad.
Right.
Unfortunately, I'm so sad he had to deal with that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you know, my brother was so much props to him to have to deal with that.
Right.
Um, and so that was just the first step, right? The water
Mm-hmm.
pipes freezing, not having running water.
Mm-hmm.
Then my dad couldn't afford fuel for our
The
furnace to
heating.
be heated, right? So we didn't have a heater, but we just were around the kitchen
Mm-hmm.
oven, and we were, just kind of, slept close together, bundled up,
Wow.
kept our coats on in the house, kind
Mm-hmm.
of
Mm-hmm.
thing. So, you know, but then the final thing was, he wasn't able to keep the electricity on either. So then we ended up in a pull along trailer, a
Mm-hmm.
trailer you just pull along.
Right.
And that was inside of my dad's auto body shop. So we had this
Mm.
auto body shop. So we had land, right? And the land was basically kind of like a junkyard because some old cars were on
Right. A
it.
mechanic.
Yes. And that's, at least we had room to garden there or whatever, but it was a really trashy place. But
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so my dad did clear some land for me to garden at least.
Right.
Yeah. So
Wow.
yeah, it was pretty rough. Again, I just was kind of numb and just tried to throw myself into work. And
Right.
my brother was more like very angry during that time.
Of course. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah, he was in middle school, so he was also like, going through a transition as well,
Yeah.
different schools. And I was the mother. I even took my sister to that first day of
Mm-hmm.
kindergarten, right, which is such a big deal for so many kids and
Right.
families. But yeah, it was just me. My dad was working, and I'm the one who dropped her off
The
for
kindergarten.
kindergarten that first day. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So uh it was a lot.
It's a
Well,
lot for a
actually,
child to
yeah.
experience.
Uh-huh.
Children are meant to be kids and to be cared for, but when that parent is not in the position to be able to care for them, because right now we're talking about basic needs that
Yeah.
can't be met. Okay, we're not
Yeah.
talking about wants. We're talking about needs.
Hmm.
Water, light, these are necessities in order
Yeah.
to function, right? And now you our guys are doing without of it because you can't afford it. Now you shift from that trailer now to the pull along trailer just so you guys can actually stay together, be with him. You understand, to have a shelter, all right, but
Yeah.
still, to find uh some type of hope there to do gardening, to be able to grow your own stuff. It's like, in the midst of all that adversity, you were still looking for positive ways of continuing, at least growing some things that will be on hand that you can use. Because I mean, obviously it's hard to even go to the grocery store, but if you can grow some of the things, then you could just go there and be able. So that was so who teach you, what caused you to get into gardening? I mean, was this taught to you, or you just decided, let me give this a try?
Well, I have to credit the reading, right? I told you my mom
Okay.
read to me and stuff like that, but
Mm-hmm.
and I just devoured books, and
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
also watched a lot of PBS. I'm like the original PBS kid,
Yeah.
um, and my reading came a lot from this. At the time, I likened our living situation while my
Mm-hmm.
mom was there
Right.
to Little House on the Prairie, like little
Yeah.
little mobile home on the tundra.
Yeah. Yeah. I grew up watching that.
Well, read, and I read the books too. So
Yes,
I
yes.
read these
Actually,
different
I
books.
love the
Yeah.
story. I still
Hmm.
look to go get those type of books to bring
Yeah.
the young people today to have a perspective of the lives that people actually lived and
Yeah.
experienced. Yes.
So I read those books, and I just had the idea, like, let's garden. We have all this land,
Mm-hmm.
and why don't we,
Right.
garden with it? And so, we did. And, where I grew up in Fairbanks,
Mm-hmm.
Alaska, I actually was between the cities of Fairbanks and North Pole, Alaska. We
Okay.
weren't in the city limits. There was 24-hour daylight. There is 24-hour daylight during the summertime.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we really get really good produce.
I
You
see.
could grow really well during that growing season.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I grew quite a bit of things. I was very proud of it. So, and then other years, I was even entering things into the fair, my cabbage and my
Wow.
squash and stuff like that. So it
Wow.
was, but it came from my reading. It did.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I wrote about something like this in my book because my childhood was similar to yours. And I talk about a cherry tree that never stops, seem to stop blossoming.
Mm-hmm.
You pick the cherry today, and the ones that were green yesterday are ripe tomorrow. And it
Mm.
kept on. It seems like every time I went to the tree, it was bearing fruit. And I
Yeah.
believe the Lord was always providing, right? I have a
Yes.
cherry tree in my yard right now. I'm literally looking at it through the window. It's only bloomed like 4 times since I've been here, and it's been here 5 years. So I'm telling you that
The God
miracles
was there.
happen.
Yes,
All
he was
right.
there during
God,
that time you needed
listen,
that. Yes.
miracles happen. These trees, if
Mm-hmm.
you tell somebody else, they'll be like, no, but they're bearing fruit. We had a juju tree because I'm from the Bahamas. We had a sapodilla tree. We had
Mm.
guava trees that seems like they were always, because God always made sure that
Provided.
there was
Yes.
something there when we went. You understand? And I'm telling
Yes.
you, he was
Mm-hmm.
always providing, okay? The tree, the little house in the Perry mentality. I grew up on that.
Yes.
That was my life. All
Yes.
right.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And so, yes, so I can understand, though the son was there and it was very giving, but God was providing. He was making sure, now so much that you are entering some of these your vegetables in the fair. Come on now. That means you have an abundance to share,
Abundance. Yes.
you
Yes.
know?
Absolutely.
Yes.
So yeah. Eventually we went back. That next summer, after my
Mhm.
fourth grade year, we went to visit my mom in California. She had moved back to Southern California,
Okay.
and then we stayed with her. We
Mhm.
just decided we're not going back.
Mhm.
Obviously the living conditions weren't what they needed to be,
Right.
and so we went ahead and stayed with her. And in the middle, so that was my fifth grade year. And then in the
Mhm.
middle of my sixth grade year, my dad actually came to California.
Okay.
And we went back up there. We drove partway, we took the ferry boat partway
Mhm.
back to Alaska.
Okay.
At that time, my mom became very religious. And then we, just went to church a lot.
Mhm.
But our relationship was forever changed. Like once I
Okay.
went to California with her,
Mhm.
I really didn't want her telling me what to do. So our
Right.
relationship was really different because I was very independent, right? I
Right.
washed the dishes without people telling me. I swept.
Right.
I kept my room clean.
Mhm.
So all those things were done without her. And then when she
Without
comes
us,
back
yeah,
and she's like, "Do
because
you
you have
wash
to
the
do it
dishes?"
without her presence.
Yes. I was like, "I don't need you to tell me to wash dishes. I wash dishes.
Yes.
I clean my room." So our relationship was always strained from then.
Mhm. Mhm.
And then,
And
you
how was
know,
she once you guys moved back? I know you said she went to the faith and she became religious. Now, how is she now mentally? Is she more stable at
yeah,
this point?
she definitely was. Yeah. So she
Okay.
was um, more there for us and supportive and everything like that.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Mhm.
Um, but over the years, the finances were still a challenge. And
Oh, okay.
here I'm 16. I am being more rebellious then.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, Still into my reading and my books and everything.
That's the
But
escape. That is
yes,
always the escape.
absolutely.
The books has
Absolutely.
always
And
been
it's
the
my
escape.
plan, right? I had a fourth grade teacher when my mom was gone. I didn't talk about my fourth grade teacher. She's the one
Mhm.
who taught me about academic scholarships and everything, which,
Mm.
of course, I knew about athletic scholarships. I didn't know
Mhm.
anything about academic scholarships. So in
Right.
fourth grade, she really made the plan. She told me the plan to go forward and to get an academic scholarship because she's
Mhm.
like,
Mhm.
you like school, this is what you do. You're not a black teacher.
Right.
And it was so amazing. So
Right.
I stayed on that path. I really did. But at 16, my parents and I were arguing a lot. I would say, like, we live in horrible conditions. We can't pay for water to get
Right.
fixed. And
Because you've been dealing with this for a long time, and as a child, you're hoping that things are changing for the better, and that
yes,
shouldn't be you in the position to bring that to light. But
yes.
unfortunately, someone has to tell the truth. This is what it is.
Yes. And part of that time with my dad, he did the best he could,
Hmm.
obviously. And I do want to say, like, he was my dad. He didn't treat us differently. Like,
Which
obviously he
is great
adopted
because a
us.
lot of
Yeah.
times, yeah.
So that was
That
my
was a
dad.
blessing.
Yeah, but there was some loss of trust there because he would tell me every day that the water would be back on, right? So every
Mm,
day, and of course, I won't just listen to everybody lie to me every day, but my
right.
dad, I was like, of course he's going to come through, you know? So
Mm-hmm.
basically,
Mm-hmm.
every day of that fourth grade year, he was telling me that the water would be on when I get home.
Mm-hmm.
Not only was the water not on, it was getting worse and worse, right? We were
Right.
losing more services.
Wow.
So I was just, it's a lack of trust there developing off of that, where he could just say, look, I just don't have it. He
Right.
was just
That's the
saying,
best thing to say. That is the best thing to say.
just tell
Because
me.
I learned, I've never forgotten any promises that anybody made to me as a child, you know.
Yes.
And that is one of the things I think, instead of us feeling like we're going to hurt our children's feeling, it's just to tell them the
Tell them
truth.
the
You
truth.
understand? Instead of, saying this is going to happen, it doesn't. Because now that is, putting a screen, between you, because
Yes.
you're supposed to take care of your children. You're bringing their hopes up. This is going to be done. And when they come, it isn't done. After a while, they're not going to listen to what it is. That's
Yeah.
anyone, whether it's a child or not.
Doesn't matter
Anyone that
who.
you keep telling is going to
Yeah.
happen, and it doesn't happen. But
Yes.
children, though, it's best to say we can't afford it. I don't know when it can happen. And because I don't know about you, but because I came from that place, I don't make promises that I can't keep.
Yes. Just tell people, like, look,
Okay,
I'm sorry. I'm not sure if this can happen. I don't
that's
have the
it.
money for it right now.
That's it.
Here's a plan that we could get to something that's similar or whatever, but
Yes,
right now it's not going to happen. I apologize. I
exactly,
mean, nothing else
exactly.
I could do. Yeah.
Yes.
So at 16, after years of these strained relationships, I
Wow.
got like a whipping, and it wasn't like, it was a belt, but it didn't hurt. It wasn't
Mm-hmm.
bad or anything. But I just was like, you know what? I don't respect my parents in the way that I should,
Right.
and I just don't want to listen to them anymore. And I
Mm-hmm.
just really made a decision not to live there anymore. And I
Right.
just packed up my bags. It
Mm-hmm.
was right before I turned 17. And I was like, I'm just
You
going
are
to move.
done.
I'm going to move. So they thought it was funny, whatever. They dropped me. And I said, just drop me off at the church. And I was like, I
They
don't know if I
probably thought it you was just going through a tantrum.
as I don't know, and it was very, I didn't yell at him. I just like, I'm leaving. I just
Right.
gonna move away. And I packed my bag, some, like two or three trash bags full of stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I don't know if I have to live in the church. That's what I'll do.
Right.
I just am not gonna live here anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so they took me to church. We went to church at night anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And this was Sunday, so Sunday evening we went to church, and they dropped me off, and then I just moved in with one of the families in the church. So it was the
Okay.
Baker family. Shout out to Sister Baker.
Yes.
And so that's who I stayed with for about 6 months.
Okay.
After that, I
So you
moved
just
to.
moved in, no conversation with them, or was there a
I guess
prelude
they
that I'll
talked
be
to my
coming?
mom. They did talk to my parents,
Okay. Okay.
actually. Sometimes my dad would give me a little money. Sometimes I would be like, I don't want your money. I don't know. I
Right,
was
because
so
you
silly.
realize there's a need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they gave her any money or not. They tried to give me something here and there, but I was like, no.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah. So that's just how it was. Uh,
You said
my,
6 months. You stayed with them.
about 6 months. And then after that, I moved to California because by that time, my brother had graduated from high school. He moved to Sacramento, California. And I had three aunts there who had a hair shop.
Okay.
And, but I guess the consensus was if I'm not going to listen to my parents, that I wasn't going to listen to them. And
Right.
Sacramento was very low cost of living. So they co-signed, my Aunt Debbie co-signed an apartment for us for $25 a month.
Mm-hmm.
And we lived in that
That must have
apartment.
been a long time ago. Yes.
It was 1995.
Okay, around that time, yeah. Because I moved to the
1995.
States in 93. So, yeah.
So Sacramento, different cities are different, but
Right.
Sacramento, 425, we had an apartment. So my brother worked part-time, I worked part-time,
Mm-hmm.
and I worked, and my part-time was my aunt's shop. I was the shampoo girl.
Okay.
And I went to school that summer
Mm-hmm.
school. I went
Mm-hmm.
to school, and then I only had to go part-time during the rest of my senior year. That was my senior year in high school.
Okay.
And so that's how it worked. Um, so during that time, I applied to over 40 scholarships, won several, got a academic scholarship, tuition scholarship from Clark Atlanta University, and won scholarships to take care of my living expenses. And, I grew up on that United Negro College Fund commercial where a mind is a terrible thing to
Wow.
waste. And
Wow.
I know my mom called me, even though I didn't live with her. She's like, we can't afford for you to go to college. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
very disrespectful at that point. And I just laughed. And I said, I didn't depend on you to pay for my college.
Right.
My fourth grade teacher, Miss Nelson, told me what to
Right.
do so
What to
I
do?
could go to
Yes.
college.
And I'm glad you paid attention because all that reading and everything. Yes.
So,
Indeed.
yeah, I had my academic scholarship. I was off to college, doing well. Went to Clark Atlanta University,
Mm-hmm.
doing well. I didn't have luggage. I took my boxes and
Hey, whatever
took
you got.
everything. Yes, took everything I could. Yeah, so there we go. Everything went with me. I didn't have stuff. People leave part of their stuff. I took everything out of that apartment and it was
Mm-hmm.
with me. Um, so that was that. Everything was going fine. My Thanksgiving break. Actually, I had a boyfriend, one of my brother's friends. I got with during
Hmm.
that senior year, and I got pregnant during my Thanksgiving break. So,
This is the first year of college.
yeah, a couple months in,
Wow. Wow.
couple months into college. Yeah. So got pregnant when I came back for Thanksgiving Christmas break. I realized I was pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Yeah. So I was repeating the cycle, right? I told you
Yeah.
my mother was teenage, my grandma was teenage, I was teenage, right? I wasn't out of the teen years yet. And you know, but that
But
didn't
you,
end.
but you were ahead though. You are now in college, so you
Yes.
were at a different head space than they
Yes.
were.
Still
You
in the
know, so
teen
that
years, but a
already
little bit
said
different.
that you
Yeah.
pushed yourself further than because you were coming out, you were breaking the cycle. So when that process happened, a shift happens, right? The shift happened through you. Okay, it happened through you. So even though you were still a part of, the cycle
Yes.
of what was repeated, let's say the residue of it, but you are
Yes.
breaking the cycle. We never come out of breaking these cycles unscathed. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, it doesn't happen that way. So usually if it stops with you, then there's going to be things that are still reminiscent of the
Yes.
past, but
Yes.
it doesn't mean that you're the same person because first of all, you're already in a headspace. You've already accomplished so much more than when they were at your at your
Yeah.
your stage.
Yeah. My grandmother was 17 with her first, my first uncle. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
My mom was 19. So I was
Okay.
very close to the same
Right.
age as
Right.
my mom.
Mm-hmm.
Um, 18 when we got pregnant, 19 so we were very close in age when we
Right.
had the child.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I actually graduated, not graduated. That was my freshman year. At the end of that freshman year, I was pregnant, obviously, very
Uh-huh.
pregnant. But what won the award for the highest freshman GPA,
Okay.
because I was, still doing it. I met with someone at the end, advising,
Mm-hmm.
and she's like, "Are you going to continue?" I was like, "I'm continuing. I'm graduating in 4 years. I'm on
Yes.
scholarship. I got to stay on scholarship."
Right.
Um, and she said, "We'll just map out those 8 semesters.
Right.
If after you get enrolled, right, you might have some changes, make those changes and make sure you do it in 4 years."
Right.
And I did. I finished in 4 years, kept my scholarship. Yeah, gave birth
Congratulations.
8 days before my sophomore year. I had my baby. I think what was really important is when I was out on my own, I saw
Mm-hmm.
how hard it was
Yeah.
because I was under 18 at the time that
Mm-hmm.
I moved into Sacramento. I could barely get a job. Minimum wage was 4.75 maybe back then.
Okay.
So we had a cheap apartment, but we still barely made it. It's
Right.
really rough. Eating, utilities, phone,
Mhm.
all these things that you need,
Right.
it was hard. And
Right.
so I was like, either I'm going to struggle, without a
Mhm.
college degree, or I'm going to struggle to get my college degree. At least I'll be done. So I
Yeah.
just stayed in, struggled with my college, to get my
That's
college
it. That was
degree.
the
And
better
then,
option.
yes, so I stayed in, and it was rough. I actually had a cesarean section, so the doctor was like, "You're not supposed to be out,"
Mhm.
but I stayed. I wasn't going to lose my scholarship. I had to
Right.
have 30 units per semester, sorry, per year. So I did 12 that first semester. That second semester, I had to do 18.
Mhm.
Um, I went to the doctor several times for they could, the hospital after
Mhm.
school. I got all my classes on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So I was
Mhm.
out, but I wasn't out that much, right?
Right.
Tuesdays
Right.
and Thursdays were all my classes. And I was with my kid the rest of the time. And I still had my scholarships,
Mhm.
and that's what, sustained me. Uh, Unfortunately, it wasn't a great experience with well, my brother and my boyfriend moved out. So
Wow.
they helped me.
Mhm.
My boyfriend was less stable.
Right.
Our apartment in Atlanta area, we lived in the Sandy Springs area,
Mhm.
Buckhead. It was like 675 for a two-bedroom. And I had my scholarship, my financial aid to help pay for part of the rent and
The
stuff
rent.
like that. And my brother
Mhm.
helped. The boyfriend was the short, many months he was short.
Wow.
So yeah, he was doing a lot of partying,
Wow.
drinking, smoking weed, out all night kind of thing.
Mhm.
So that was rough. My brother left my senior year, and my boyfriend was kind of upset, like, he's just leaving us in a lurch. And I was like, well, actually, we should be able to hold this down
Right. I
ourselves.
mean,
And
time to carry the weight.
and I told my brother, please go, because I need to see
Yeah.
what he's gonna do, because
Yeah.
I have to make a decision. Like, am I gonna stay
Yes.
with this person or what?
Is he gonna
So
step up?
yeah, and he didn't. So, but we
Wow.
stayed together until I graduated from college, and we lived with his mom a little bit there. We almost moved into an apartment together, but he didn't do what he was supposed to do. And I just
Mm.
moved with one of my aunts, and he couldn't stay there or whatever. And we broke up so
Mhm.
yeah.
Mhm.
And then I went into a teaching program shortly after, moved to Los Angeles area.
Mhm.
Yeah. And my daughter and I have been in Los Angeles since 2001. Yeah. So we've been doing fine. She is 26 now. Yeah.
Ooh.
She's a cosmetologist. That runs in her blood, right?
I said that. You said your aunts were doing it.
My mom also had her cosmetology license, right? So out
Wow.
of the five sisters, four of them had
Wow.
cosmetology. Yeah, run through the blood. So she's a cosmetologist, and
Mhm.
yeah, so she also works part time at United as she's building up her clientele, and
Mhm.
she is we get free flight benefits. So yeah, when you do what you're supposed to do with your kid, you get
Right.
benefits later on. Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I talk about that in my podcast, the Falling for Learning podcast,
Mhm.
which was established for parents like myself who were just struggling to make sure our child could stay on track for
Right.
learning and be on track for success.
Mhm.
As an educator, obviously, I have some insight about that and have some
Mhm.
tried and true methods that we've been through.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, so
So
that's
these
what happened.
methods, you started with them as a child, you've implemented them in your career, and
Yeah,
now you talk about continuing that through your podcast, helping
yeah,
mothers know that there are different avenues or ways that they can help their children, and that's very,
yeah.
very commendable.
Hmm.
So let's
Thank
talk
you.
about that since you mentioned it, because now this is what you're doing. How is that helping mothers and their children?
Yeah, so it's really about holistic, right?
Mm-hmm.
So just thinking about all the things, right? We talked about social emotional, like missing some of that when I was a kid, like
Mm-hmm.
what might be happening to your child that's
Right.
blocking them from learning. So we need to
Right.
take a look at those things. And then what can we do at home to integrate learning into the
Mm-hmm.
home life? gardening, reading with your child, doing things like that to help them with the math and the reading, and making education just a natural part of our lives and not just
Mm-hmm.
something that is done at school. Um, so I talk a lot about that, really about, making sure the kids have consequences, not
Right.
being mean or don't make their mistakes part of like, this is your personality, you're a bad
Right.
kid,
Right.
but
Right.
just making it about like, let's learn from it. And then
Right.
talking to them about your mistakes. I made this mistake and you're
Right.
making it, and so you should know that,
Right.
just trying to help you. Like we all make mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I really work on that. Through the podcast, we have guests on that talk about um, resources
Mm-hmm.
and ideas to help with children as they're being raised in this day
Mm-hmm.
and age. Um, yeah, so just a lot of resources, a place for parents to go and ask questions and to hear different perspectives. Because a lot of times we are trying to break those generational curses and
Yes.
we think that we're doing the right thing. Some of it is, like when I was growing up,
Mm-hmm.
uh, I was really into learning, so people didn't really have to bother me that much. But on the
Right.
other hand,
Right.
my dad be yelling at my brother and stuff with the math and the reading. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, this
Mm-hmm.
doesn't help your kids. So like, giving them that perspective,
Right.
we have to think about how we can make it fun and engaging for them, not to
Right.
make it a punishment, right?
Right.
Because a punishment, you want to get away from it. You don't want to
Yes.
continue doing it on your own. You want to add that fun to it
Right.
so that later on they're reading without you saying, hey, get that book out.
Exactly. Exactly.
So yeah, so this is really what it's about, and whatever that goal is, right? Because I had to explain that to the audience too. Like I was very biased as a person. I was the first generation
Mm-hmm.
college graduate.
College.
My great grandparents out of my the first one, and so I was very biased. That's what I wanted my daughter to do,
Mm-hmm.
but she
Mm-hmm.
really was into cosmetology
Mm-hmm.
and embracing that, right?
Right.
Embracing that's her gift. She like thrived in that area.
Right.
And of course, entrepreneurship is a way to beat generational curses as well, right?
Yes. Yes.
But I was just thinking that one way, like, getting your education.
Mm-hmm.
But just being open to that, right? Because it is
Right.
about what career resonates with your child, and that's where they could really thrive with their
I'm
passion,
glad
right?
you said that because a lot of parents want their children to basically live their dream. Like if they
Yeah,
wanted to be a nurse, they didn't get successful being a nurse, so then you got to be a nurse
yeah.
because that's what I wanted to do. So
Mhm.
you have to do this and all of that. And I find that a lot of children end up going to college, end up changing their majors or dropping out because that was never their dream. That's not what they want to do. But
Yeah,
once you learn to tap into what they like to do, then you can more or less guide them and they'll
yes,
stay on track. Say, I'm a mother of six. Each of them want to do something different. I only say be the best at whatever it is that you do. As long as it ain't
absolutely.
nothing illegal,
Yes. Yeah,
be the best at what you're going to do, and don't just see it. I teach, see whatever you learn, like you're on the job, use that as on the job training and you're getting paid. So that now tomorrow you will learn those skills for your
yeah,
own self. So I
absolutely.
have the mindset, learn it, but make it your business now. Don't just always work for the person, be your own boss. That's my
Yes, that's something
mentality.
that I really feel like we need to
Yes.
be really focused in more on
Mm-hmm.
that business building, right? Because
Right.
a lot of African Americans, they get that good job, right?
Right.
But there's a limit, right? You're only
Yes.
going to make this much. Especially
Yes.
a lot of us are really hard workers, right? We're bringing
Yes.
150% to that job,
Mm-hmm.
and it's
Mm-hmm.
not always appreciated. We
No.
find out, right? Somebody else, who's just that average worker, they're getting paid the same salary as you. They're not bringing
Right. Or more.
150% or more,
Or
depending on those
more.
connections, right?
Yes. Yes.
So yeah, so it's like with your business, you earn what you bring. Would they say take home what you kill? Yeah.
Right. Right. It's true.
Yeah, so
It's
you
true.
you really benefit from your own talents rather than building up someone else's business or
Right.
industry. You are working for yourself, and that's what I'm seeing what my daughter could do, as she's building up her business. And of
Right.
course, I have my business with my podcast now, and I
Mm-hmm.
also have a book, the a book set called The Rewrite Method and the
Mm-hmm.
Rewrite Method Workbook, which is addresses the gap in writing instruction that we have
Mm-hmm.
across this country. Over
Mm-hmm.
75% of the kids are failing in math when they're
Right.
tested nationwide.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have this book, The Rewrite Method. It is the parent and educator guide for getting middle schoolers to fall in love with writing.
Uh-huh.
And it's so important because we know that people's um, voices are being silenced. They don't want to hear, about people who've been oppressed. They
Right.
don't, and it's like, who's going to tell our story, right? That
Exactly.
next generation needs to tell our story.
Right.
But of
Right.
course, if they can't read well, they can't write
They
well.
can't write they.
So yes, so that's why I have this book, and it's parents and educators. We do
Mm-hmm.
have a groundswelling of parents that are doing homeschool now.
Right.
And so we want to make sure that the right ideas are getting out there, the right
Mm-hmm.
methods and strategies for
Right.
helping kids to write. And writing, of course, is a way to heal through
Mm-hmm.
this generational pain or whatever we're going through.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
So
Reading and writing. For me, reading was my escape from my reality. So I read I grew up on a lot of those investigative books,
yes.
Nancy Drew,
Yes.
Bobbsey Twins. I was a tomboy at heart. So anything that would take me on an adventure, even
Yes.
though I was born in an island of the Bahamas, my chores was, always indoors doing stuff. So whenever I got out, I didn't want to do girl stuff because I was already in the house, like you,
Mhm.
taking care of siblings, doing all this. So when I went
Yes.
out, I wanted to be hardcore. I'm playing bat ball, I'm climbing the trees.
Yes.
I want to take this adventure to another. So reading is another form of escaping, and it actually helps you intellectually, gives you a better understanding. And I think
Mhm.
because of that knowledge, right, because of the reading, it has given you a place of escape. And now you see, you know what, I can go further, even though I'm in this situation right now, but I can go further because you've seen successes of others, people you've never met before,
Yes.
but they've made it, and I want to be like this person one day. So when people ask me as a child who was my role model, I didn't have a role model. I just knew that I wanted to be the best version of me in the future, right?
Yes.
Because there wasn't a lot of those in my family. They were still dealing with generational curse, like you say. Everybody was locked in. Nobody embraced what was the cycle that kept repeating. They didn't talk about it. Nobody talked about it. There was not enough love, not enough I love you, not enough all of this because of
Yes.
the pains. Everybody was in their own pain. So your mom
Yes.
went to depression because she already came from a mom that was a teenage mom. You understand me? So a lot of that foundation wasn't there for her. And then she had children yet again. She didn't have enough for them to carry on. At least we say we thank God she found a man who took care of her children the best that he could, because that situation could have turned out even more negative. He could have
Whew.
taken that pain on you guys. You all not my
Mhm.
kids. You understand?
Yeah.
And just hurt you guys. But
Yeah.
instead, his love was sincere. She found a good one. Let's say that she found a good one, even though it was difficult, but he kept y'all together. He could have walked off. He could have left
He
y'all.
could have.
So much could have happened. People don't realize when these things are happening. So he actually deserved the Father of the Year award for
Oh
just
yeah.
sticking there for children
Mhm.
that wasn't even his. Because I've seen the stories. I deal with children in life after trauma. It is these type of environments that bring a lot of these pains, molestation, rape, drugs,
Mhm.
etc., because the environment was conducive for that. You
Yeah.
understand?
But
It
yeah,
was
but
there.
thankfully it didn't happen. Yeah, he was definitely
Yes.
just our father, and he's still, our father
Hmm.
that, supports us. So
Right.
yeah, it's a lot. So I definitely had some blessings along the way.
Yes.
My dad and my teacher and
Yes.
my
He
mom,
sent you destiny helpers.
Yeah. And my mom, she was very pivotal in helping me with my success later on. Even though
Right.
we were at odds a lot after
Right.
she came back, she definitely really helped me with a lot of
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and supported me. And we're really good. We talk all the time now.
That's good because now
So
you've
yeah.
mended that.
Yes, and it took some time, like some
I'm
real
sure.
conversations, and but
I'm
yeah,
sure.
we get along well, and you
Mm-hmm.
know,
Forgiveness. Forgiveness.
yes, absolutely, and
Forgiveness. I
mhm,
just before I came on here, I was just saying that earlier at the intro. May should be a month to forgive our parents, forgive
yes,
whatever is going on, because everyone is fighting some type of battle. Some people just don't know how to cope. Okay,
yeah,
and so there's a lot of forgiveness that need in order to move forward. In order to release the past, all of these have to happen. So your story is definitely a motivating story. You threw yourself into your books, you threw yourself into your academics. Even when hurdles came along the way, you did not lose sight of the end game. Like, I have to finish this
yes,
college. I have to push through this. Yes, the doctors
mhm,
say, because all of us having a child was enough. Some people would have stopped. There's people who have stopped, who started because they had a child. They stopped. They said, okay, I got to take care of my child, blah, blah, blah. But you didn't let that alter you. You kept going. You completed the 4 years and you're still in the education area, creating means to help others. Why? Because you started from somewhere. That is where everything for you stem from. So a lot of times we say, if we had to live our past again, no, nobody really wanted to go through all of those pains, but you realize that is what built you into the person that
mhm,
you have come in today. You would have wanted
yeah,
things to be different,
yeah,
yes, but at the same time, it molded you, it built your character.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
won't take nothing
Indeed.
from my journey now.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes, yes. So can you share some insights, in your relationship, navigating with your daughter and parenthood while you was in college? Because now you had her in the beginning, so we understand you pushed through, and then you talk about the phases of your brother helping and then your boyfriend not helping. But now after it all said and done, your brother's not there, your boyfriend's not there. What's going on with TD now?
Oh, well, right now, I got married in 2016. Yeah, I got married in 2016. I actually met my husband I met him 2001, actually,
Mm-hmm.
when I became a teacher in Southern California. And we were friends off and on.
Mm-hmm.
And, we both agreed we needed to do some healing. So we even did some counseling with each other and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. I mean, and so we got married in 2016. Yeah, but we've been, friends and everything since 2001. So,
I like that, meaning
yeah,
you both knew y'all needed to work on yourselves. Because I
yeah,
said
for
this, and I
sure.
always say this: you need two holes to make a hole, not two halves to make a whole. Because if
Mm,
you're not healed and you go in a relationship, then there are certain cycles. There are things on his side, your side
yeah,
that can trickle in. So
yeah.
from 2001, but y'all didn't get married until 2016.
Yeah, we're just friends a lot of time, and a lot of on and off,
Okay,
mostly off,
got you.
right?
Got you.
Yeah, but
Y'all wanted to make sure it was right and you guys were healed. I
yeah.
I truly, truly, truly am happy for you. So when you reflect on your journey now, what are your hopes for the future from this point?
So from this point, I'm going to continue in the education field, selling my book, helping other people,
Mm-hmm.
do the Falling for Learning podcast. I have my consulting firm as well,
Mm-hmm.
that is part of that.
Okay.
So just helping to grow the message for how to get kids engaged and having
Mm-hmm.
fun with learning, really helping it be a part of the family life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, because that's really what it is. Education is empowering, and that
Mm-hmm.
comes in many forms, and we
Right.
also need to educate ourselves again about holistic,
Yeah.
right? Like not just book smart, but that social emotional intelligence, getting to know
Mm-hmm.
ourselves, healing from trauma that we may experience.
Yes. Yeah. I think the you hit keyword there is healing from traumas, because we cannot forge ahead when we carrying all the weight of the past, because it becomes triggers in our future. And if
Yeah.
we don't deal with it, then it's like you live in a house that is built of cards, and it flicks and everything just come
Hmm.
down. But when you deal with those past traumas, and you ready truly for healing. So before we close out today, TD, what last words would you like to give to our audience in relation to a parent that is dealing with the situation that you're in? Maybe a mom who feels like giving up right now, or a child that's already taken on that role. So what message would you like to convey?
Well, I just want to say, like, even though it's a hard time, right? You can get through it. And I
Mm-hmm.
look for inspirations when I read certain biographies and I
Mm-hmm.
saw other people went through hard times and how to get through it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, invest in healing for yourself. And that could be time, taking time
Right.
to meditate or to do some yoga or
Mm-hmm.
stretching, saying positive things to yourself. Don't feed yourself negative messages, feed
Yeah.
yourself positive messages.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we have more information and everything on fallingforlearning.com. If you wanted to follow our podcast, it gives you some tips and strategies on
Mm-hmm.
how to make it through. Um, it is, you're not the first person to go through it, and you can get through it, right? So, and everything that you go through later on, if you persevere, keep moving forward, you will
Yes.
find those tools and weapons later on to
Yeah.
help you get through your next phase of challenges,
Yes.
and to help you to flourish, right? Um, so it's equipping you to be the person to help other people in the future. So yeah, stick with it, and you can get
Well,
through
thank
it.
you so much, TD, for being on Emergent Empower. And we will put all the links in the bio so you'll be able to connect with TD. And like I said, if you don't find her relatable, I'm sure you know a parent or someone who would have the needs of such materials, so that we'll be able to continue. Now, this platform is all for sharing. Everyone that comes on, they have a journey, they have a story, they have a book, they have a link. So don't feel that you can't reach out because you saw it on Emergent Power. The whole purpose of Emergent Power is helping you emerge, helping you grow. All right, because we want our communities to grow. If our neighborhood grow, our community grow, and if our community grow, our state grow, our country grow, and the world grow. Because everyone doing their part will bring some type of healing. We're gonna go back to TD's garden. There's healing in that garden. There's
Mm,
life in that garden. All right. Whatever you plant in that garden will come back. You will reap what you sow. So therefore, let us reap in positivity. Hers was in academia, and you can see it today. There are books, there's programs. Like as you are speaking, I'm saying books, 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 because this might start off to you as the beginning phases, but it's going to become a curriculum. All right, down the road. I'm telling you
mm,
it as I see it.
yes.
It's going to become a curriculum, as God is going to allow you and put this tool in the hands and take it across the country. All right, where they'll call you to implement this. So if you haven't done it already, get it all implemented, because they're going to want to have this in hand. All right,
Yes.
these resources. So go ahead and lay that all out, because it's much needed. Too many of our children are graduating high school and are reading at a third or fourth grade level. They're not even going beyond that. Okay, they're
Hmm.
understanding their words. Now we have the season of text. Everything is abbreviated, the shortcut. They don't even know how to spell anymore.
Hmm.
Okay, people aren't even spelling anymore. I go the long way unless there's something short like talk to you later. I don't try to abbreviate regular words, because I want people to be able to read. Sometimes I get
Yes.
like, what does that mean? Like,
Hmm.
no, we're not talking already, and now we're texting in four-letter words for maybe a word that's 8 or 12. Come on.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So that's already telling that it's necessary and needed. And yes, we are in a season right now where a lot of parents are more homeschooling or putting their children in private education because, the system, the teachers cannot do it all. Some of the classes, we have about 30 students in a class. That teacher cannot
40.
sit. Yeah, 40, yeah, 40. So those numbers are increasing. All right. So we need to go the extra mile for your children. And like TD said, allow your children to come into their own. You had your time to dream. You can still be what you wanted to be. Let them be what they want to be. All
Hmm.
right. Stop forcing them to become what you did not succeed in. You still can. This is America. It's never too late to go get your GED. It's never too late to be a nurse. Whatever you want to be,
Hmm.
it's never too late. I just
Yes.
walked the stage to be Florida Plus America Florida Plus pageant
All right.
ambassador. Okay, I never dreamed of that. I never thought I'll be a woman that would be on the stage of pageant, and I just won the first ambassador, Florida Plus ambassador title.
Hmm.
Hello, somebody.
All
If
right.
you All you have to do is show up, be on the front row seat of your life. That's it. Period. And when opportunity knocks, open the door. We are so afraid of the unknown. Open the door to opportunity. All right. So, TD, we do thank you and I commend you. And I'm going back to what you started with your sister, and now you have given it to the world as a gift. So, you have turned your pain into purpose, and that mess, even how difficult it was, is now a message. And my sister, you have emerge and now are empowering. So we thank you so much for being on the show on today. And again, your link will be in the bio so you can reach out to TD. And we thank you for connecting with us today on Emerge and Empower. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Have a
you.
wonderful week and continue learning, applying daily. Blessings to everyone. Until next week. Bye bye.
Bye.